stands for our all. With community we cannot fail, as we give it all our all. We can give it all. We will give it all. We will be united in giving it our all. Woo!
Runs smooth. Because if we don't plan, then we'll have hiccups in our engagement with our work.
Okay. Choose, go to your right or to the left.
Yeah.
I'm placing the top. I think the part that says if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Sums it up.
Very good. Thanks for stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
We plan in order for us to get our visions achieved and in order to get all the things that we want to achieve.
We plan for implementation and action.
Learning is the fundamental process for the success of the school.
I plan because I want to make sure that I fit in everything that I want to do. Because if I don't plan, I won't be able to do it.
Plan for success and obviously to optimize every second of the day.
Or you will plan for the effective management of the institution, because that plan talks of the resources, of the people, for instance, and the skills needed, and the evaluations, and as you do that, automatically achieve the vision in the vision statement for the benefit of members of the school community. Thank you.
To optimize performance, but I also like to work in an orderly environment. So I plan for an orderly environment and efficiency towards that optimization of performance. Thank you.
Nobody said anything, then I was going to bring up that. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Very simple. And you always have to plan. You have to know where you're going to, right? You have to have a starting point and an end point. So you always want to know where you're starting and then where you're going to end. So, you know, let's just throw out an example. If we left here today and decided, okay, we're going to drive to Cape Town, are we just going to get in the car and go? What would happen if we did that? You know, we might come into some disagreements on how to do it, right? But we know that, okay, let's just say that from here to Cape Town is 1,800 kilometers. And the vehicle we're going in has a traveling capacity of 450 kilometers. So we know that we're going to have to fill up 4 times, right? So we need to know, so maybe it takes $1,000 to fill up the car. So 4 times, that's 4,000. So we know we need to at least have $4,000 with us, right? And then let's think of time management. So it's going to take, say we can travel on average 100 kilometers an hour. We'll have to slow down in some areas. Other areas we'll be able to drive a little faster. So let's just say 100 kilometers an hour. So if it's 1,800 kilometers, that's going to take us 18 hours, right? Well, are we going to do that all in one day? 18 hours is a long drive, you know. How many drivers do we have? Do we have 2 drivers? So maybe we can switch out. Maybe we can make it in one day. Maybe there's 1 driver, so we have to stay a night. 18 hours, I don't think, I can drive a long time, but 18 hours, I don't think I can do it. You know, so just some time, you know, so we have to have some sort of plan in place. And that's just a simplified version of that. Okay, so let's say that you have 1 month to plan. Something's going to happen in the month, whatever it may be. You need to have your budget in the month. You have this big decision. You've got a new building. You're going to build a new building. You've got to have everything in place in a month. But there's people underneath you. Let's say that you as the principal, you have some ahead of your departments that need to have some input into the plan. So if you have a month to plan, you're gonna take 1/3 of that time, so about 10 days. And that's when you're gonna complete your plan. That gives them 20 days to complete their plan. Because if you don't give them, if you take 25 days to complete your plan and you give them 5, what have you just done? You just set them up for failure. You know, they're not gonna have time to react to your plan. They've got to be able to take your plan, analyze it, and come up with their own plan. Same thing that what should be done if the district office tells you something that you need to plan for. They need to give you plenty of time to react to that plan. And then as we go through some of the others there, you can see we mentioned several, identifies critical decisions, focuses the effort of subordinate and staff, assists in the allocation of resources, time, space, and money. And, you know, those critical resources. Assists subordinates and staff in making recommendations, facilitates collaborative planning. What kind of person did we find out that we wanted to be during flawless consulting? We wanted to be that collaborative personality, right? So that's it. And it drives preparation. There's really a couple different types of plans that at least I've come across and I've used in the past. And the first one there on your left there, the planning process, is just a general planning process. It's a 7-step process that takes you from the beginning to the end. And you can go through there and you can see that. So if we're talking about just a plan, you know, it could be anything. It could be a budget, financial budget. It could be strategic goals for the next year. It could be planning a trip to Cape Town, and you know we want to use that. So we've got to have some goal. You know, what is our goal? What is our objective? To gather data. All right, develop the premise, analyze the data, create the plan, and then the last 2 steps are very important. You've got to implement the plan, of course, but the last step you've got to monitor it. Your planning doesn't stop once you implement the plan. You've got to be able to analyze the plan. Did it work? What mistakes did we make? So next year, when we go into the planning process, we don't make those same mistakes. All right? Now, the one on your right is a little more detailed in the fact that you're trying to, it involves a big decision. And sometimes it's better to take that a little bit different than just a planning process. And very similar, except what you're going to do in the middle there is you're going to develop some courses of action. Okay? And down below you'll see, well, what is a course of action? A course of action is just a potential solution to identify the problem. And then you need to have those 4 characteristics of each course of action. They need to be sustainable, they need to be feasible, they need to be acceptable, and they need to be distinguished from each other. So you can't have one, you can't, you know, if they're not distinguishable, then you're really talking about the same thing. You really don't have courses of action. So you want to, on each one of those, you want to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of each course of action. And then you want to select one. One way of selecting those is what is, and it's a quantifiable way of doing it, is through a decision matrix. And that's all that is. A decision matrix takes the emotion out of the decision, all right? And that's, you know, we talked about that in our little group there, you know. Taking emotion out of it often helps. When emotions get involved, then people take offense to maybe something you're saying, and then things start to break down. So if you can take emotion out of it, it's best. And so I quickly did a little decision matrix for you there, if you've never used one before. So across the top, you'll see criteria 1, 2, and 3. And down on the rows there, you have course of action 1 and 2. Well, what you want to do when you have your criteria is you want to weigh which one is most important to you as a group. And you want to give that the highest weight. And then so on. So there I rated them for you. Criteria 1 was 3, criteria 2 was 2, and criteria 1 is 1. So then in the course of action, you want to say, well, okay, course of action 1 meets criteria 1 better than course of action 2. So you take that, so course of action 1 gets a 1, course of action 2 gets a 0, and you multiply it by the weight. So that's where you come up with the 3 and the 0 there. And you just work your way across, and then over on the far column, you'll see it's totaled out 4 and 3. Okay? I know that was really quick, but the problem was at Joseph's school, he doesn't have an administrative block or an area that, like this room right here, that he can use for staff preparation, for meetings, for whether it's with his SGB, whether it's SMT, or just a staff meeting. You know, so a lot of times he uses his office for those things, and there's just not a lot of room there. Part of the problem is that he has some classroom blocks that are condemned, that he can't use. And so it's reduced the number of classrooms. So he has more teachers than he does classrooms. Teachers sometimes have to sit in the classroom while another teacher is teaching, and she's doing or he's doing administrative work. It's a little bit, you know, hard to do like that and such like that. So I'll let you read down through the facts and assumptions there. And let me jump down to course of action 1 and course of action 2. So we came up with course of action 1 and 2. Course of action 1 was leave everything as it is. All right. Course of action 2 is to take one classroom out of being a classroom and then turn it into a staff room. All right. And there was a little bit more logistics involved and things like that, but it would allow the educators, when they're not in the classroom setting, to come to a different environment where it's relaxed. They can have tea or coffee. They can do their work. If need be, they can meet with a parent or something like that. So you can see. So down on the bottom, then we came up with a little decision matrix there, and across the top. So the 4 criteria that were the most important was 1, ease of implementation, create the educator workspace, eliminate wasted time between classes, and less stress and chaotic environment for the students and the staff. So course of action 1 and 2, and you can see how it timed out. Ease of implementation was the least of those 4 criteria, so that was a 1. Course of action 1 met that better than the other, and course of action 2, so it was a 1. Creating the workspace was the most important criteria, so it was a 4. Of course, course of action 1 doesn't even meet that at all. Course of action 2 does, so we've got the 4, and on and on. And you can see down at the bottom, or down on the right-hand side. So course of action 2 had a 9, and course of action 1 had a 1. So which one did we choose? Course of action 2. All right. This little project was actually done after the fact. Joseph had already made the decision because of time, and that's another planning process. If you're in a constrained time environment, the leader, whatever that may be, the principal, the mayor, the CEO, whatever it is, may direct more things if you're in a constrained environment. In this situation, it was during a break, a holiday period, and Joseph wanted to have everything in place when everybody came back. So he took his authority and did this. But so we went back and we took all the facts and everything around the situation and came up with this, hoping to provide you an example. Before I sit down.
I think there's a minute or two just for Joseph to share with us how he experienced the process and how the implementation went.
My business leader, thank you, Brenda. Well said, and Don has got a very brilliant way of analyzing things and even presenting them. I don't know what else I'm going to add from this. But as he says, the situation was every 30-60 minutes, 950 children had to move from this class, going to Brenda's class for English. They move out, they go to maths class where Marlene is. And then every 60 minutes. So you had, especially the grade 8 and 9 children, who are about 500. And they are not as quick as we want them to be. And they enjoy that 4 minutes in the middle of period, and it wastes a lot of time. And we'll have Joseph, the teacher, who enjoys the waste of that minute. And we looked into it, analyzed it, and then we said there's a lot of waste of time. And after telling the teachers that we must improve it and it's not being improved, then we said, now we are going to create a staff room where everybody will sit there. And remember, he mentioned that sometimes Marlene is in the class teaching English. Joseph does not have a class because we are 30 teachers, there are only 22 classes. So Joseph has to do with marking and administrative while Marlene is teaching. And then we said, no, let's create this. Yeah, let's create this staff room where everybody will have a time to sit and do administrative work and follow the children. So the children, especially grade 8 and 9, will sit at one place. The teacher will go and teach English in that class, move to maths in that class. And there are only in grade 10 and 11 where geography streams have to change, they will move here and there. So it reduced movement.
Well done to the two of you, and thank you for sharing that with us. I think we've all learned something. Maybe just 2 or 3 principles, giving a word of appreciation.
From my side, I was once in a situation like him, but in my case it wasn't because of the shortage of classrooms. It was of the comfort of the educator personnel. Because educators would want to stay in the class while the learners move around to them. So this year we started the initiative of saying learners will stay in class, educators will move around. It was a bit not good in the beginning because the educators didn't accept it that well. They were saying it was harsh for them, they are older, and our school it's flawed. They should move from floor 1 to the 3rd floor. So it was a little bit problematic for some because with Joseph's school, it's one floor. It's a flat. So you move from one class next to the other. So in my case, one should move. Maybe if you are teaching grade 8 and 9, you should move to the 3rd floor to teach grade 8, and after 30 minutes you should move down to the last floor. So I received some sort of resistance, but at some point I had to put my foot on the floor. I still remember we had a meeting with the educators, and I even said it to them, how many of us applied to Maui? They all raised their hand, and I said, okay, we all knew that this is a flawed school, and we said we want to work in this flawed school. That means we knew that this is a flawed school, and we said we will work in it no matter the circumstances. So our situation is as it is. Learners are happy staying in class, and that system is working because as he's talking about the school climate, it's a little bit quieter during the